whenever you want. Go.
And we are back with another episode of Under the Vinyl, a rental management media podcast. Nate, how you doing today on this wonderful Tuesday?
I'm good now. I'm a little warmed up thanks to somebody, but
Our guest today is trying to get us in trouble. We had to start off with some tequila shots, but hey, it is what it is.
welcome to the ARA show.
Yeah. So today, everyone, we have Sarah Wilper, who works for Taylor Rental in Manchester, Connecticut.
Correct.
You also got another big title coming up here in, 24 hours?
I do. In 24 hours, I will officially be president-elect for ARA.
Yes. Who are you following?
I know this guy, I think his name's Brian.
He's kind of a big deal or thinks he's a big deal.
Never in my entire life did I think I would be anybody's like light at the end of the tunnel. By the time they get through Brian's reign, they're going to be like, who would have thought Sarah was a good choice?
I think it's like a perfect shot just to get away, and it's like nothing is bad after you.
Well, did you notice that the show has moved up next year? So Brian really only has like 11 months to be president.
Right.
Not
It's a
12.
shorter
Yeah.
term.
So, all right, well, let's get into it, Sarah.
All right.
Take us back to your entry into the event rental world.
Yeah, it makes me feel so old because it was almost 20 years ago now, which seems absolutely impossible. But
So what are you, 25?
yeah, I wish. I actually worked in banking right out of college for a long time, and I married into rental. My husband's family is the Taylor Rental we're at now is a fourth generation family business. So his grandmother was on the cusp of retiring, and it seemed like a good opportunity. I was really tired of banking, so I decided to go and try out rental. And as you know, we're all a little bit off in this industry, so it was a really good fit for me. And I was like, oh, we'll do this now. This is perfect.
And so were you doing anything before that?
I worked in banking.
Okay,
Yeah,
banking.
yeah.
And how did you enjoy the banking versus
I hated
rental?
it.
Okay.
I hated it. And
So
that
did
was
it
20
help
years
you?
ago. It does in the sense of customer service. I've always worked in customer service. I think my first job was a cashier at a local grocery store.
Wow.
So going through some of those customer service trainings and that very customer focused life for a long time definitely helped transition me into the event rental side. Yeah.
What was kind of the first role that you had in the rental company coming in?
I just worked the front counter. And at the time, as with many Taylor rentals, we had both party and equipment. So we had a lot of homeowner tools and some smaller construction equipment in addition to tents, tables, chairs. So for us, it was a lot of learning both sides. You had to be able to sell a wedding and then go sell an aerator. There was a lot of back and forth. Trying to learn a ton really was the first step. And then I spent years just working the front counter.
And it's been 20 years, you said?
Just shy. I'm coming up on 19.
Crazy.
That's awesome. What were some of your early challenges you felt like that you had moving into more of a leadership role then as you started to develop and move past the counter?
As anybody who works in a family business will know, it's spicy at times. It's a little challenging. So to be honest, my husband's family is wonderful, but is absolutely terrified of his grandmother for the longest time. And I was like, I just really didn't want to disappoint her and I didn't want to do anything wrong. And she's this lovely woman. She's retired now in Texas and, doing great. But, I think I was in my own way most of the time. With the family, everybody's supportive. They want it to grow. They want it to expand. They want to help you however you can. But a lot of times I would just get in my own head or doubt my knowledge. When I first started, I remember laying in bed at night, like trying to memorize the dish patterns that we had and which ones were called what, and just keeping myself up with that kind of thing.
What was kind of Manchester's market overview at that point?
So we were definitely heavier on the event side, probably about 20% on the equipment. And we were still really into backyard parties. We did a ton of 20 by 20s in a backyard for graduation, slammed in June where the guys are working 60, 80 hours a week. When I started with the family business, my husband Eli and I didn't have kids yet, and he was still out on the road all the time. And I just remember the hours just being insane. Yeah. And when we had the kids, I was like, you're done. You have to come off the road. You have to have an in-house job because this is just not going to be possible.
And how many children do you have?
We have two. We have two teenagers, Aaliyah and Ronan.
How do you put them in the business yet?
Yes. Our daughter worked, she was very proud of herself, just over 100 hours last summer. She's like,
wow.
I did this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she was really proud. And then our son has come in. He's just started to more and more. But now that they're both officially in high school, I anticipate this summer they'll be working a lot more.
So obviously I worked for my dad growing up.
Yeah.
I got paid like a penny an hour.
Yeah.
Is that the same mentality you have? Or are you going to actually be nice and fair? And
No, I actually pay them the same way I would pay any other employee, much to Eli's chagrin. He thinks they should be making, like $2 an hour. They should not be making minimum wage.
So is this the point where they start having to pay rent and bills and
No, because then it's one more thing I have to manage, and that's not going to be a thing.
well, you could now that they're in high school, you can start bringing their friends in. I mean,
That's
of
true.
course, that's what we all did, bring our friends in.
I'm already there. I got to wait, I think, another year or two. I'm looking more for them to be like junior, senior.
Yeah,
And then I've already got my eyes on a whole bunch of tent crew.
good, good.
hey, I miss the days where I could round up 4 or 5 people for a Saturday or Sunday job.
Right.
Like now I call my friends and I say, hey, what are you doing on Saturday? Not working.
Yeah. Literally anything else besides helping you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can guarantee I will not be helping you guys.
Right. Right.
Yeah, laying on the couch more.
So obviously you're a Taylor Rental.
Yes.
Can you explain to the listeners what that means?
So Taylor Rental is a franchise, a lot like, I don't know, Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, whatever. And especially in the Northeast, it was really popular when they first rolled out their franchise system. You could essentially buy a ready-to-go rental store.
Mm-hmm.
You got a certain amount of tables, chairs, equipment. They'd help you out with the financing on it. And then you've got the branding and you're ready to go. True Value, in turn, now Do It Best, that has all evolved tremendously over the years, which fortunately for us really hasn't impacted us a whole lot. We continue to use the True Value name where we don't have any issues using that. We weren't one of the stores that had to rebrand, but we do pay franchise fees every year for that. There was a point we had 2 locations. You were paying franchising fees on 2 locations. We condensed back down to 1 after COVID. So there is some element of, especially in Connecticut right now, people will call you thinking they're calling a different Taylor Rental. The reality of so many have closed or gone out of business, retired, that now we really are, I think, one of maybe 2 or 3 left in the state of Connecticut. And even now branching up into Massachusetts, a number of them is closed as well.
Do you still have buying power with the Taylor Rental name?
We do. And I know, fortunately, ARA and Do It Best have kind of been working behind the scenes through the purchase of True Value. And there is still purchasing power. We also access to something called the warehouse where we can go online and we can get whatever we need, from tables and chairs all the way up to nuts and bolts to cleaning products, that sort of thing.
That was going to kind of be my point is, do you feel, what's the advantage to the corporate structure and support versus more of a family owned, just on your own style? And is there a corporate feel to that?
I would not say there's a corporate feel at all. In my experience, the franchise portion of it is very hands-off.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you if I had a rep anymore, to be honest. If there was one time where a True Value rep would show up all the time, but
Yeah.
they've changed their business model, so that makes sense.
Love that.
So very much we feel very independent
Okay.
outside of sending them a check for our name and our logo. And I think there is a benefit to be able to have sort of a central location to be able to purchase things from, right?
Right.
Where maybe we're not the cheapest, it may not be the cheapest table, but it's always going to be the first place I look. Or if I need office supplies, or if we need parts for the store, right? Because everybody's still got equipment and things they've got to fix and
Right.
put back together.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's as strong as it was, like when my husband's great-grandparents started it in 1967. A lot of that has gone away as people have merged and as business models have changed.
So now that you've kind of developed into your role currently, what's more of your day to day?
I'd love to say it was like I just sat at my desk, but really, like any.
I do nothing.
Yeah.
I do nothing.
Spreadsheets.
Again, you work for a family business, so my title's executive vice president, but that
Right.
literally means nothing,
Yeah.
right? Because I still work for mom and dad.
They'll do it all.
Right, I still do it. So if my linen person calls out today, I got to go pull linen and get ready for stuff. If there's a problem in the dish room. We have learned that IT is not my specialty. So in the event
least
that,
you know that.
Yep. In the event there's a computer issue, it should not be me fixing it. So we have learned that. And I'm not going to pretend I'm rolling around and back making concrete blocks or fixing pieces of equipment, but I handle the marketing, the sales team, a lot of the customer interaction. I work with all of our higher end clients and larger clients. We do a lot in the higher education space. So I spend a lot of time managing that.
What's the market look like up there for you guys? And how far do you need to branch out?
Sure. So for us, we have this beautiful little swath of Eastern Connecticut, right? Right.
Yeah.
Where there's closures, retirements, and there isn't a ton there. The bulk of the membership in Connecticut is more based towards Fairfield County,
Okay.
towards New York. So for us, we have this great little spot where there's not a lot of competition. It's not easy to get to that area of the state. So nobody's fighting to get on over there. We go all the way down to the shoreline. We've done a little bit of work into Rhode Island. And more recently, we're really pushing up quite a bit into Massachusetts. There's been a lot of changes up there as far as the layout of rental and stores closing, retiring, things like that. So we're really pushing now almost as far into Amherst is as far as we're going north now.
And what's kind of your product currently? You're still doing obviously all the tools and stuff as well.
Tools we sold off about
Okay.
4 years ago,
Okay.
which is fantastic, and I would never ever bring them back on. I'm sorry for anyone who listens to this and has tools. I'm sorry in advance.
We talked about this yesterday, and it's not even like I worked at a tool company and a party company at one point, but it's not even like you don't want to deal with the tools as much as like you got the big box stores that are killing the industry.
We have a Home Depot right in town,
That's the problem.
and even though our pricing may have always been lower, their hours were always more convenient, right? So clients are going to go there.
Sunday.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Honestly, we had a mechanic that worked for us. His name was Tim, and Tim worked for us. He started with us in 1982, and Tim actually passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, and we were never able to replace him. And we're like, you know what? This portion of rental is done for us. Now we are strictly party. We do tents. We do tables, chairs, dishes, linen, all the tabletop stuff. We have lots of forks and spoons, unlike L&A.
Oh, I guess you do have a little bit of.
We have a little bit of
Yeah.
we have a little bit.
We do a lot. We're very much a location where a bride and groom can come in, and we start with the tent and then work our way all the way down to the flooring, and we provide everything in between.
What's kind of your biggest tent, and what manufacturer do you use?
We're a big fan of Anchor.
Okay.
Shout out to Mike Fenton.
There you go.
We love him.
guy.
We love Mike Fenton.
Absolutely.
We do quite a bit with Fred's.
Okay.
To be completely honest, shout out to Heather. She'll be very upset if I call out Mike and a Heather. We do quite a bit with both of those. Our largest is going to be a 40 wide Navi
Awesome.
with Anchor. So we stick with 40 wides. We have some spirited debate in the family management system about going larger. And so far we have been unsuccessful in winning said debate. So 40 wide is our
like
largest.
the eyes are creating the domestic over here. We better watch out.
There's some head nodding going on the other side of the room for a bit. I can't listen or can't see them.
So we do that. We still do a lot of pole tents. We have sailcloth. We have clear top, a whole host of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the seasons look like up there for you?
It's got to be
Does it die
challenging.
off, like,
We're 6 months on, honestly. Like I'm April to November for the most part.
Yeah.
I always joke, we stop when it starts to snow and we pick back up when the snow is gone.
And you keep the employees on, or you guys send to lay
We're
off?
a big layoff
Okay.
one. I hire most of our people on seasonally. They know they're seasonal when they get hired on for the most part. And then
do you get them back?
we do quite a few. This last year, we got the majority of our crew that came back was a repeat. Yeah.
Do any of them, do they take other jobs, or do they kind of take a break at that time?
No, they usually enjoy the unemployment.
Yeah.
Yep. I get a whole bunch of filings right after everybody
Yeah.
gets laid off. And then,
Okay.
Now,
Can't tell by your face, I'm nervous.
we've talked about this. You had an interesting program you were using for employees.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So for the last 3 years, we have worked with the Connecticut Reentry Program. So what we did is we connected with halfway houses.
Okay.
So we have individuals that are coming out of incarceration and they have to transition to a halfway house.
Okay.
Once they're in the house, they can go to work and then go to the house.
Yep.
And that's it. Most of them are in mandatory counseling, mandatory drug testing. They are supervised. Somebody's making sure they're showing up to work. So we worked with multiple halfway houses and we started bringing folks on that way. It really worked out well for us. The hours can be crazy, right? When you're trying to cram 12 months of income into 6 months, right? So the guys were always happy to pick up overtime. It was never an issue.
Because they didn't want to go sit back in the halfway house.
Right. They don't want to go sit in the house. And a lot of them would come to me on Friday afternoon and be like, please tell me there's work this weekend, right?
And would they have to
really
check
look
in
forward.
then if they work late and things like
So
that?
that is one of the byproducts that we found is if we give them a set hours when they start with us, and if we deviate from those, then we are in communication with the house that they report to.
Okay.
And just letting them know, hey, they're running late. They're going to be back by 8 o'clock. hey, we've got weekend work. I need everybody to get passes so they can get out of work.
Right.
So it really has been a good program for us to fill a need. As everybody knows, it is very hard to fill the labor positions that we're asking people to fill, right? They're seasonal. None of us are paying $200,000 a year to set up tents.
Yeah.
We're smaller businesses, so you don't have these gobs of benefits, right? It is a tough spot to fill. So for us, this has worked out really well. I would think the only downside to it is, unfortunately, sometimes it comes with a little Dateline drama, right?
Dateline drama.
Dateline drama.
Right, like the next episode of Dateline, So at least makes for some good stories around the table at rental shows after you've had a shot of tequila. But for the most part, they have been really great. And we have some guys that started with us 3 years ago, and they are still with us.
Off the program?
Off the program.
Awesome.
They remained with us. So really it comes down to, I think it's another way we get to give back to the community. I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of volunteering. My husband is as well. He serves on the ARA of Connecticut board.
Okay.
So it's another way for us to be able to give back. And all the drama's worth it when I can have one or two guys that can really have an opportunity to change their entire life out of it.
Yeah.
But there's some challenges. Things like sometimes it's their first job, or they don't know how to do direct deposit, or they don't have an email and you have to set them up with an email.
But that's employees that aren't even in the program. That's normal employees.
Right. So that's true. So it can be a little tricky in that respect. So I think there's more supervising of the program than I was prepared for, but we've kind of become old hatted at this point.
Are you going to use it again this year?
Well, that depends, because we did, thanks to some pressure from folks like Brian Richardson, Kyle Richardson,
H2B.
Dean Miller, we have applied for the H2B program. Okay. So we are really hoping to
I should probably start telling people about this.
Listen.
Because, whatever visas you...
Or get a cut.
I know, that's less for you. Don't worry too much, though, because with it being a lottery, we got letter E. So, right, we're letter E, so I'm not optimistic.
Yeah.
But, for us, things sort of lined up as far as being able to make sure we've got housing ready. And we're working specifically with a company that handles H2B visa process.
You use Moss Labor, right?
We use Moss Labor, yep, and they're wonderful. It's scary, though, because there is that outlay of cost, and you might not get any employees this year. Mm-hmm. So that is our hope for this year, but we will be utilizing the reentry program if, for some reason, the H2B falls through.
Got it. So on the guys that you're bringing in, beyond just the program that you're doing, what's the retention look like as far as everybody as a whole? Is it
at core folks?
Yeah.
Honestly, we have most of our folks are double digits.
Okay.
Honestly, we
That's
have
incredible.
a woman in our dish room who's been with us over 20 some odd years.
Yep.
Our warehouse manager, same thing. He ran our tent crew for a long time. When it got too hard on his body, he came in and we worked in the warehouse. Our general manager's been with us 15 years. I don't know if it counts, but my husband Eli's been working there for 30.
That doesn't count.
He's volunteering at this point.
Did he get his first paycheck yet?
No, we're still holding on to that. And then, like I said, myself, I've been there for 18. So we do have a lot of longevity, and that's something I'm really proud of, right? When we talk about culture, you have a lot of seasonality, but my core group of folks, our lead tent foreman has been with us 8-9 years.
Yep.
So there's some pretty good longevity there.
What's the crew size look like peak season for you?
Peak season, we're 40 to 50 folks.
Okay.
Yeah, off season, we try to get as close to 20 as possible.
How many trucks is that a day?
On a good day, so we have 15 total in our fleet.
Okay.
So, we are usually sending out, 4 on a mild day as far as delivery goes, back and forth. And we're doing the equal amounts as far as tenting goes.
So,
and then we have flatbeds for concrete and all that kind of.
I feel like you guys are a little bit on the higher side, like bigger wise, than a normal Taylor rental. Yeah.
We are. I think.
If your eyes light up.
Yeah. She got excited.
So I'm really proud of that, because when True Value decided they wanted people to rebrand, they contacted some Taylor Rentals very quickly to get them to rebrand. They never called us.
Yeah.
They just kind of left us alone. And my feeling really is they feel like we're doing a service to the brand by continuing to do what we do. We are exceptionally large for a Taylor rental.
So you're more independent than what you lead on to be with that name.
Yes, we are very independent. But honestly, too, we're so fortunate because it's 4 generations of knowledge, right? They've been through everything from the recessions to, global pandemics to natural disasters to the shrinking and the growth of the economy. And they've all learned and taken those lessons on how to pile and to grow and to expand and to how to sustain the business, right? I mean, COVID was hard for everybody, but the knowledge base just allowed everybody to really figure out how to handle it very quickly and to stay ahead of it during that.
Well, I feel like a lot of people that started out in the rental industry started as a Taylor or a Hertz or
Yes.
United or like a small business and got away from it and went out on their own. And for you guys to continue to stay in it and build that brand is pretty damn cool.
It's
think-
unique for
There's
sure.
1 or 2 left in New Jersey, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's Taylor Rentals.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think we're down at one point in
Maybe the last
Connecticut. We
one
had
standing.
a dozen.
Yeah, you might be the last one standing.
Don't jinx me.
You've already beat the odds, you know, fourth
we have.
generation.
It is. There's something ridiculous like the generational transition cuts like 50%
Yeah.
every single generation.
Well, what is
so
it? First generation builds it, second generation sustains it, and third generation kills it. Well, you passed that. So you're good.
at least once a week I say to Eli, I was like, I don't want to be the generation that messes this up.
Nah, I think you're doing just fine. You'll be fine.
Thank you.
Just don't listen to Brian.
Yes, yeah.
What's been the best ROI for equipment that you guys have invested in?
So I laugh because Brian Richardson actually asked me a question about this very similarly, and we got into kind of a heated discussion because I'm like you think about something like we had tabletop, right? A fork that costs me $8 to buy. I've rented hundreds of thousands of time in the course of its life. So if we're looking specifically at ROI on a piece of, I'm like, that flatware, man, I'm killing it on the flatware, right? I don't make any money unless I rent a tent and everything underneath it. I mean, if we're looking at the ROI of the project, that's different. But from an item, I don't know, that tabletop's pretty good.
Well, I did this when I was at Brian's at one point, and it was an 8-foot table.
Yeah.
Which
Really?
I did
I
not
believe
think
it.
it would be anything else.
Yep.
I
Probably
honestly
great
think ours
fams
is-
for us.
I think ours is concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, that can be good too. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Or Duratrack.
Yeah.
If you bought it early on when Duratrack first came out, it was much.
yeah.
Don't try and buy it
everything
now.
was much cheaper, but-
My fire extinguishers is probably really good ROI on those.
Yeah. That's legit. Well, then what's been your biggest regret purchase? You don't have to throw out a name of a company. Just give me a product type.
Oh, I was thinking more of people.
Okay. All right. You're purchasing people.
No, not people, but
Okay.
you know, you invest in people
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, maybe this wasn't the best one. I don't know. I think we tried a little bit here and there to kind of dabble in like some of the trendy stuff that really didn't move. Like we rent cross packs. Well, they don't move a ton for us in our neck of the woods, right? Like they're nice, they're trendy, but they don't go out a ton. I mean, honestly.
Well, the issue is you got those big box stores that are coming in and they're doing the same inventory but cheaper, so it doesn't become such a boutique item.
It's not as fancy. You know, like we jumped on the farm table trend, and that was really great. But we have skilled carpenter in house, and Eli built every farm table we rent. So
Are you
Oh,
referring
kind
to
of thing.
him as your skilled carpenter?
yes, he is our skilled carpenter.
I've heard a lot of titles. Matt.
Multifaceted.
Yeah, lots of titles.
No, still not getting a paycheck.
If you, and it's funny that we're going to ask you this question because someone asked me this on the show floor as well. If you had $250,000 to start over, what would you buy?
Tents and flooring.
I think that's a good answer.
Tents and flooring.
Yeah.
And I don't even know that I would stick with as many pole tents as we have in inventory. I think
We're
Expandable.
going to come at the pole tent guys.
listen,
Guy.
so much of our inventory is pole tents. We have more pole tents than anything else.
Yeah.
But I think as we're looking at safety and evolving, I think the investment into something that's going to be a frame tent or a structure is going to be better placed money, because eventually the garbage that we've had to go through with ballasting and you know,
With
Engineering and everything
the
else.
engineering, like it just the amount of energy, time and energy so we've put into all of that. I think eventually we're going to be at a point where pole tents are going to be harder and harder to
Right.
get approval on from your local municipality.
Yeah, and depending on what you're buying and being more expandable in the frames and everything like that, I think that the inventory can better be used. And then, growing your inventory. I don't want to do an 80 wide or 100 wide pole tent anymore. I want to switch up with
I would love
structure.
to throw 100 wides all day. It
See,
is so easy.
Okay, I had this conversation with the anchor guys the other day because we were talking about how I'm trying to get everybody to move more towards the 30 meter rather than a 100 wide pole on a couple big events. And my thought processes on that is every time those guys are rolling that heavy material and using a tarp, if it's wet in a field at all, it creates a roll line all the way through, all the way down the field, right? So now you're going to put that thing back up, or you wash it, or you bring it out. And now you got to rent a lift to go up and wash it at every damn event.
You are such a. You're
Hey.
so
You have some
awesome.
strong feelings about pole tents, huh?
He does.
I love pole tents.
Why?
Why?
Why? Why do you love pole
Because he was a
tents?
carny at heart.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I know that. I know the 4-H story.
Yeah. He did. I was not in 4-H, but that's where my parents met.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
bought it over.
We
Because our
got to do
daughter's a
some
4-H.
math, so we should talk about Brian's.
No, let's not go there.
Sorry,
No,
one day.
no mathing with Brian.
You'd have to do the math first.
Oh.
All right. So
I was like,
what
"Guys,
is
hiring you out?"
what is one thing that keeps you up at night? I know there's several, but just give me one. And you can't look at your husband.
Oh my God. Currently, the world is on fire, and I'm definitely struggling with that, but also employees.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like
understand that.
everyone thinks that like weather is the hardest thing, but employees are what keeps me up at night.
Employees. This entire time at the rental
Labor.
show, we have had several. It's business, right? There's never a day where you don't have an employee issue, good or bad, and that is what I lose the most sleep over because I handle those directly. Those are all my babies. I am the HR department.
You're
So-
the mama.
Yep. If there is an issue, it's me, and I'm the one who has to field it.
Understand. What's been the hardest year in business from you? And I'm sure you have a
You
COVID.
can't say COVID, right?
Yeah, we need to hear
No,
something
I
beyond
don't. No,
COVID.
actually, I'll be very honest. I don't know that I would say the hardest year, but family businesses are really, 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 really hard.
Yeah.
Right. It is an understatement. At one point, I worked with my husband, my own brother, both of my brother-in-laws, my sister-in-law, and my in-laws. Just at one point, right? So there is a lot of stress and a lot of frustration and a lot of whatever. You know, I always say the family dysfunction that shows up to Thanksgiving is also at the business every single day, right? Right. And you think about all of your friends who only see their
Separating that.
family at Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and the biggest bar night of the year is the day before Thanksgiving,
And
right?
everybody's hungover.
So I have this wonderful, phenomenal family, and I actually got to the point where I was like, I'm not sure this is what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
So I took a step back from the family business. I stayed in rental. I worked on the equipment side and heavy
Right.
equipment for a while.
Yeah.
And that for me was the hardest personally, like as far as career development and trying to figure out if this is where I wanted to be. And I got on the other side of it and I was like, the grass is not greener over here. I would like to immediately go back to working with my family.
Was that just because the interactions of the people, the structure, or all the above?
It will surprise no one that I'm not great with a boss.
Yeah.
Right?
Really?
Like, I know, because it's a complete shock.
Shocker.
I know. So I certainly do well if I'm managing myself.
Okay.
But like I said, there's so many dynamics, right? And there's so many parts and pieces. And we all have friends who have their 8 to 5 insurance job, punch a clock, go home, and then have
And
their
then somehow
weekends.
travel to Dubai on a Thursday for the weekend.
Yeah, right. For a nice long weekend. I
Yeah.
saw that too. Interesting. So you
I need that job, whoever that is.
right? Oh, it's definitely not in rental. Or the emergency call at 8 o'clock at night. Or for us right now, we provide cots to the local children's hospital.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we did it one time on a weekend where I was like, okay, I know there's a snowstorm coming. We'll bring you all of the cots, right? So now the next 4 or 5 weekends, it's a phone call every day on a Saturday at 2 o'clock or a phone call at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that stress that is insane anyway, you're also combining with your personal relationships. And
Yep.
that's hard.
Oh, absolutely.
That is like, I mean, and that makes
Not only
or
are you
breaks
married to your
everybody.
husband, you're married to the business.
Married to your husband, married to your business, and you're raising your children in the business,
Right.
right? Like everything revolves around it. Lucky for my husband, he's my best friend. So I genuinely enjoy his company and I like being around him.
Love that.
What do you see as the outlook for the industry 5-10 years from now?
Well, I told you a little bit. I think we'll definitely be going more towards structure and frame. I think that's a big one.
As the safer, the
This
push for
right,
safety.
is huge.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one. Like just the safety that we've seen in a small period of time within the last 12 months with, I mean, you have Matra, ATA, and ARA all joining together to create a safe tenting program
Mhm.
that speaks to the importance of that education and that pursuit within the industry. So I think that's huge. Obviously, that speaks for itself. And I think a lot of customization. We find that more and more. Everybody wants that really unique, specialized experience. So translating that somehow into your rental fleet, be like, I'd love to rent this one tent out 75 times, but it's got to be just a little different every time.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be another big one that people are going to have to watch more.
All right, and before we get into our rapid fire round,
Oh, a rapid fire round?
And I have one more
It would
question
be
too.
so
as well.
great if I had notes ahead of time to know that there was a rapid fire round to
Well,
prepare
that's the whole
for.
point. You're not supposed to know it.
Okay. What you got?
tell us how you got involved with ARA, because I know it's.
That's what I was gonna say.
You've told me the story.
Okay.
And
So-
why too? Because I understand
wait till you hear
like,
the story.
but I
It's funny.
understand you are very giving. But yeah.
Well, that's nice that someone would say that about me. We're, like I said, family business a million times over. And we'd always been ARA members, right? And we got the ARA flyers in the mail, and they were addressed to my father-in-law, and they would just go in the trash. So one time I saw an ARA flyer for an ARA show, and I literally pulled it out of the trash, and I was like, what's this ARA thing? And at the time, our Region 1 director was Russ Dejanay, who formerly owned Taylor Rental in Wallingford, which is since retired.
Right.
And my father-in-law looks at me and goes, just call Russ. He'll tell you what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I called Russ, and I drank the ARA Kool-Aid pretty quick.
I've been hearing that a lot lately.
Yeah, you're welcome. I drank it pretty quick, and Russ got me plugged in. I went to a couple of meetings. He had me go to a leadership conference.
Yeah.
I went to caucus within my first 12 months, and I just loved it. So that's how I got into ARA, and it just sort of spiraled very quickly.
Okay, well then, yes, spiral back to the president here. That's a hell of a jump and a lot of Kool-Aid. So,
Well, I mean, it's a long time. Like I said, I've been in rental for close to 19 years, and I've probably been involved in ARA for probably 15 of that.
Mhm.
So I've done everything from just serve as a general member on a board to holding board positions, president, all of that kind of fun stuff, all the way up to regional director and now president. A little known fact is I did probably about 3 or 4 years ago now, go to Brian Richardson and ask him if he would be my mentor.
Yeah.
Which Kyle still thinks to this day was a mistake, but
nope, I won't speak on it.
but
We can talk about that off the air.
as someone who's not related to him, I think he's very inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kyle's like, cut. I find him very inspiring, and he also, he runs his own business. He's developed, well, Kyle runs it now, but he at one point ran his own business.
No, I don't know if you heard
developed-
one of the educational sessions. He said, "I run the business day to day," and
But also here,
excuse me,
wait,
you don't
what?
come in till 11.
but also just for the record, Kyle's full of shit because he put on his Instagram and said the GOAT yesterday when he got introduced. So
Right.
he was recognizing him.
I will tell you, my 14-year-old son met him, and the first night we got back to the hotel, he's like, Mom, Brian's the GOAT.
Can we edit that part out, please? We don't need any bigger of a head.
Because he looks like a goat.
No, stop.
All right, we're gonna transition
Oh
now.
my God.
Let's jump over to the rapid fire question.
All right,
before we
rapid fire.
close
What
out
do we
here.
got? Well, this
Frame
is
tent or
terrifying.
pole tent?
We know what she's gonna say.
I do think pole tents are pretty right now.
Oh yes.
I think they're beautiful. I just don't think they're realistic moving forward,
All right.
but they're beautiful.
Okay.
Coffee or energy drink?
Oh, coffee. Straight black.
Yes.
Hot black
Tequila or
coffee.
beer?
Tequila.
Biggest install pet peeve.
When people don't pick up their dog poop.
Yeah, I
Oh,
would agree with that. That's a good
Listen,
one.
I don't like that. That's
Yep.
disgusting.
Or you're on a site visit and you roll your tape measure up in it.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Clean up after your dog, people.
Best advice you ever received?
I don't want to be cliche and say yes, but the second best advice, or, like everybody's like, oh, say yes if someone asks you to volunteer. The best advice I've ever gotten was dumber people than you have done this.
All right. Love that one. Advice for women entering rental.
Okay. Yeah, dumber people than you have done this. Oh, that's like a long one. I have to rapid fire it.
You can
Well,
give a
just
good
be
answer.
confident. Just be confident. Fake it till you make it. I promise you, everybody else is as terrified as you are.
Yeah.
Hardest part of being the boss?
Employees
I love it.
signing the paychecks in the off season.
All right, before this gets off the rail,
I think we did a good job staying on the
I think
rails.
we better close this out.
Rad.
All right, folks, that is another episode of Under the Vinyl, a rental management media podcast.
Thanks, Sarah.